Hello and welcome to Raj Sabha TV. You're watching India Fights Back with me, Rajat Kane. Well, in this episode of our show that talks about India's fight against COVID-19 pandemic, we'll talk about the intranasal vaccine for COVID-19. The subject expert committee or the SEC that advises Indian drugs regulator on the rollout of any drug has given its nod for phase 1 trial of Bharat Biotech's COVID-19 intranasal, that is vaccine administered through nose. The nasal vaccine is slightly different from the tube intramuscular vaccine, the current lot that has been administered to beneficiaries and that has been rolled out on January 16th this year. There is a difference between two. The current lot is a single dose and is considered to have a scalable manufacturing. So this one is a little different. This possibly seems to be a single shot vaccine, right? So how the nasal vaccine add to our fight against pandemic? Discuss further on this issue, we are joined with a panel of 3 guests. We are joined with Dr. E. Venkata Rao. He is Principal Investigator, Covaxin. So many thanks for joining us. And Dr. Neeraj Nishchal, he is Associate Professor, Department of Medicine from AIIMS, Delhi. Many thanks, Dr. Nishchal, once again to be part of the show. And we'll be joined soon by Dr. Savita Verma. She's Professor of Pharmacology from Rohtak PGIMS. Well, let me start with you, Dr. Rao. In terms of a clear nomenclature for the benefit of viewers, how the nasal vaccine will be different in terms of the administration of vaccine from the current lot. We'll come to the merits and demerits a little later, but let's first talk about the overview of the two vaccines.
See, this nasal vaccine is likely to work over the local area. We know that the COVID virus is transmitted through nasal route or the oropharyngeal route, is from the nose or from the mouth. And whenever there is a virus contamination occurs, then and there, if we have a vaccine which can prevent it, either it can neutralize or it can protect it. This is a major advantage. And the biggest advantage is it is non-invasive. It's like a nasal drops, Otrivin nasal drops, or any pediatric nasal drop, or just a line. And there is no needle is involved, and very easy to administer, so that you need not go to a trained practitioner. So that if it is available, yes, we can do it on our own, and it would be very compliant. Even the children can use it, provided we have a successful clinical trial.
Right. So clearly, the difference between the two, as Dr. Rao was mentioning, that it's much easier to administer, and of course, even somebody who's not expert in having medicines can use it, like just a drop of Otrivin. That's a very famous, very commonly used nasal drops. Dr. Nishchal, the nomenclature of the two vaccine, let's start with the overview first. It obviously won't be given through a syringe or a needle. This will be taken locally by the beneficiary. Does the way vaccine is administered also influence its efficacy, given like how it's fed to the body of the beneficiary?
So, as Dr. Venkat pointed out, that the SARS-CoV-2 virus usually enters our body through respiratory tract. So, if we increase the immunity of the point of entry, if we increase the immunity of that particular point, then the chances of this virus gaining entry will reduce. So, this is a very promising way, because if you target the route of entry, then the chances that this virus gains entry or it get a chance of replicating in the mucosal area of the respiratory tract, from where it spreads to others also. So if you increase the immunity of that point, then chances that this is going to be more efficacious. But again, it's a theory. Once we actually put in clinical practice, whether it's going to succeed or not, that is something which needs to be seen. And of course, it's very promising. It's entering phase 1 trial, but I will say it's a long way still ahead, and we will have to wait and watch how the trial unfolds.
Dr. Rao, why not, when we started working on the vaccination, why not the companies who were working, they went for this route of making vaccine, like a nasal vaccine, instead of vaccine given through syringe?
See, this depends on the several factors. definitely, as and when some new finding or a research comes into practice. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Bharat Biotech has been, has introduced this Covaxin, which is not manufactured in the way this nasal vaccine is manufactured.
Okay.
Covaxin was manufactured in the traditional form,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the Indian scientists or the so-called our national scientists and everyone. They had that know-how. Now, after this, this nasal vaccine has come up with the adenovirus. Now,
Mm.
adenovirus or DNA vaccines or mRNA vaccines, these are all the newer technology. That is the reason why we call it as a scalable manufacturing. What
Okay.
happens is a virus or a bacteria, wherever the offending organism is there, against that, if you have to develop a vaccine, now the
Mm-hmm.
vaccine has a there is a route of manufacturing.
Okay.
Now that route, it is traditionally Covaxin was manufactured by inactivating the virus. But
Mm-hmm.
in this case of adeno vaccines, which is DNA vaccines and mRNA vaccines, the platform is already available. And any new virus or a pathogen is detected, immediately it can be a new vaccine can be performed. So this is the biggest advantage of this new technology. And the new technology was not available in India for a pretty long time. I mean, during this COVID time only it came into practice.
Well, when you say, sir, like, before I move to Dr. Nishchal, just one quick point from you, sir. When you say it's easier for administering, as in it's easier to give it to beneficiary, you don't need medical experts for that. Would you elaborate further? Like, I mean, so do we see a more over-the-counter kind of a vaccine if this form succeeds after clinical trials?
Not necessarily exactly we can say that it is the over the counter vaccine. Any vaccine which is to be administered has to be maintained in a cold chain with the regulatory approvals where until the beneficiary is getting it, the temperature control should be maintained. But
Okay.
nevertheless, what happens is when you are giving Covishield or Covaxin, you are giving an intramuscular injection. So whenever there is an intramuscular injection, the local reactions and all these issues have to be looked into. And for that, we need a trained manpower, how to
Mm-hmm.
maintain the cold chain, how to withdraw this from the vaccine. All these issues are there. But in this case, whenever nasal vaccine is there, and minimum with very minimum training, we can comfortably roll out a program.
Right, right. So that's clearly that would be an added plus to this form of vaccination if it's cleared after the clinical trial. Dr. Nishchal, so far this vaccine has been put to a very preliminary sort of a test, and as results from that test have been encouraging, only then it's been given clearance for the clinical trial. Roughly, how long will you see for this vaccine to be rolled out for beneficiary consumption?
So again, it's a pandemic situation. Things are moving fast. All the
Hmm.
clearance, after taking into account all the safety parameters that are being given at a rapid pace, which user might have taken time, but in this pandemic situation, those clearance are given quite fast. So,
Hmm.
but still, like I said, it's something which everybody is looking at, and since we don't have any nasal vaccine for this particular disease so far, so I think anything between 9 to 12 months is something which I am realistically hoping it might take that much time at least to
Hmm.
enter in phase 3 trial sort of thing. But again, like technological advancement are much better now, and we don't have dearth of patients, and you can easily find target population where you can use and see whether it's efficacious or not. So I hope it should be ready within next 9 months to 12 months. But
Okay.
again, it depends on a lot of factors. And just to add to this, all I will say that the biggest advantage, if you take the example of polio drops, the
Right.
one of the reason why this pulse polio program was successful was because of the ease of administration. You don't need much of training. Of course, definitely there is need for training, but it does not require that much expertise as one requires for giving any intramuscular or subcutaneous injections. From that point of view, if this trial is successful, this vaccine sees the day of light, then I think this will be a game changer as far as controlling this pandemic or preventing future occurrence of this pandemic is concerned.
Hmm. Well, that's a keyword, game changer, as you said. So, I mean, would you see that it will be much faster in administering than what we are seeing? Of course, like we are starting with the second dose as we speak. But I mean, and of course, at the same time, we have given vaccine to more than 75 lakh of odd people in just 27 odd days. So would those numbers be better if we start using this? I mean, once this vaccine is rolled out?
Yeah, definitely. Administering some a drug which is through a non-invasive technique is will be much easier. So we may be able to carry more vaccination in a day. But again, it's all theory because what will be the temperature at which it will be stored? What will be the transportation mechanism? How sturdy this vaccine is? It depends on all those aspects. Because if you see Moderna and Pfizer, they are more efficacious, but not suited for country like ours where that much cold chain maintenance could have been difficult. So it depends on number of things, and I'm sure since Bharat Biotech is an Indian company, then chances that they are taking care of all these aspects would be there. Keeping in mind what sort of infrastructure we have, what sort of climate our country has. So all these things have to be kept into mind, and based on that only we can look forward.
Right, Dr. Nishal. Right, right. Certainly. We also joined with Dr. Savita Verma, Professor Pharmacology, PGIMS, Rohtak. Many thanks for joining us, ma'am. Ma'am, we're discussing about merits, of course, of the nasal vaccine and how it is different in terms of administration of drug to the beneficiary. I just want just opening remarks from you, ma'am, as to how you think this vaccine would be different in terms of fighting this pandemic, or rather it will add to our armory against this fight.
Right. Yeah. So I personally feel that if an intranasal vaccine gets approval for fight against COVID-19, then it would be a big step ahead because right now we have limited health resources, and when you have to give injectables, then those limited health resources are stretched to a great level. So an intranasal vaccine does not require any assistance, and an individual can take it on his or her own. So it will be a great step ahead, and we would be able to vaccinate the masses in a very short period of time.
Right, right. That's important. So logistically, it will benefit us given the density population in our country, of course, far exceeds than others, and it will help us in, of course, the rapid, in terms of the rapid vaccination of the beneficiaries. Yes. Dr. Rao, as we were discussing about how, this intranasal vaccine would be much more beneficial than the current lot in terms of logistics to begin with. We are seeing few countries only to begin with, India, US, Canada, Netherlands, they are working on these vaccines. Of course, there would be a couple of others. Would you see more countries switching towards working on the intranasal vaccines as more and more studies about it come out?
Yeah, definitely. This intranasal vaccine, not only the ease of administration, even scientifically, if you look at that, the immune response what is likely to produce with this intranasal vaccine is as compared to other vaccines. So what happens is we require antibodies to fight against the invading pathogen. In this case, it is SARS-CoV-2. Now, for that, we have something called local protection as well as a systemic protection. Now, the local protection is provided by immunoglobulin, a variety called A. And that is being produced by this particular vaccine. On the contrary, Covaxin or Covishield produces only the parenteral or the inside the body, not the local immunity. And in that case also, even this particular vaccine, nasal, has got an advantage of both humoral response as well as cellular response. That means antibodies and long-term memory also. So that way, if we feel that this nasal vaccine is likely to be a cutting edge, not only in ease of administration, but in the mechanism of action also.
Right, right. So mechanism of the vaccine, of course, that's also a plus point if we talk about it. Dr. Nishal, talking the deep nomenclature of this vaccine. Now, traditionally speaking, if we talk of any nasal drug, in this case, of course, it will be a vaccine. Are there any do's and don'ts in terms of any bracket areas, the age groups of beneficiary that needs to be closely monitored after being given this vaccine?
So, if you're talking about this intranasal vaccine, whether there will be a group where this vaccine may not work, but again, like said, we are just
No,
entering
no, I'm
phase
not saying
one
it may
clinical
not work.
trial.
I'm just saying the group which we need to monitor for little closer than possibly other group. Like any interest group, like, okay, fine. Say we have like children, we have a bracket above 50 years of age, for which we are monitoring the efficacy of vaccine. So would we having the same thing for the intranasal vaccine as well?
Yes, again, like since it's non-invasive vaccination method, so the chances like people who are on anticoagulant for these intramuscular vaccine, they are a group where we have to be very careful
Okay.
because the chances of them developing hematoma is very high. But such complication may not arise from this intranasal vaccine. So, if you talk about the methodology of administration leading to some better monitoring or something, then this vaccination method is much safer than the intramuscular or subcutaneous vaccines which are existing for other this disease as well. So from that point of view, it's perfectly fine. There is no extra precaution that needs to be taken while administering such vaccines. So the overall contraindication for using this vaccine will remain similar to what we have seen for Covaxin or Covishield, or for that matter Moderna or Pfizer, which I feel is the anaphylaxis, history of anaphylaxis, or any allergic reaction to any of the component of this particular vaccine. Apart from that, I don't see any other contraindication because of this particular vaccine.
Right, right. That's important, Dr. Nischal. So certainly, this vaccine would be beneficial in several spheres as our panel is talking and exploring it further. Dr. Verma, you mentioned that this would be better in terms of logistics. Do you also agree with our two panelists that it will be also a plus point when you talk about the efficacy of this vaccine, the way it will be administered, and of course, like the antibodies it will create for the beneficiaries?
Yes, definitely. Because this vaccine is acting at two levels. One is at the local level, like our panelists said, that it will be generating the IgA local antibodies in the mucous membrane, and as well as it also has both the other systemic fighting capabilities, both the T cell and the memory cells and immunoglobulin at the levels. And secondly, this vaccine is also being stored at the same temperature, 2 to 8 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
And what the animal studies have shown, that it has shown good efficacy as well as safety. And even the challenge tests were done in mice, and it has shown 100% efficacy and effectiveness in the animal studies as well.
Okay.
So yes, it might be more efficacious than the intramuscular ones which we are using, Covaxin and Covishield, but that only time will tell. But as of now, it is a big break because again, as I said, that it will be available for the masses. But one thing which has to be ensured is that because with Covaxin and Covishield, they are being given under medical supervision. So all the contraindications and precautions are being kept. But once something is available for the masses and they can, they can use it on their own, then they are not under medical supervision. So some checks have to be placed initially so that those who are not supposed to take this vaccine do not have access to it easily, so that we do not have many adverse effects and problems initially.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's important that it should not be easily available sort of a drug where anyone can buy and have it. I'm sure these safeguards will be there once this vaccine is cleared after the clinical trials. Dr. Rao, like one important point that I often discuss in the show is about as we are going further in the pandemic, of course, our numbers in terms of the viral load is coming down. We are putting up a good fight. At the same time, the cause of concern happens to be COVID strains or the mutants. Fortunately, it hasn't caused a problem in India the way it has caused in a couple of other countries. But as we talk of a different mechanism of a vaccine, so will this also be compatible for any other strain that we would likely to see in times to come?
Yeah, again, the answer to the question will be the time will be the answer. We are not
Just a
very sure
hypothetically,
that
just a
what would be the
hypothesis. Yeah.
future course uh, likely to produce, because any invading organism, when you have a local protection mechanism, is likely to operate much better. And one more advantage of this particular vaccine will be, like, people, whenever we are vaccinating, we are
Mhm.
protecting, for example, vaccine and Covishield, we are protecting against death, severe
Mhm.
disease, moderate disease, or mild disease. But nowhere we have been able to prove that whether this particular transmission is likely to be interrupted or not.
Yes.
If vaccine is likely to have a
Okay, yeah, yeah. Dr. Rao, I'm sorry, I really apologize. I have to stop you here. There is some audio issues from your source. We'll try and fix it. Dr. Nishal, I mean, do you agree that this vaccine would equally work strongly against any variant that we're likely to see in days to come? Sir,
So again, as Dr. Rao was
just
telling that
this is just a
the
hypothesis. Let me add it, just a hypothesis I'm talking about.
So again, if you strengthen the immunity of point of entry, the chances of this virus replicating and causing mutation or a mutant variant, the whatever antibody has been generated, of course, it's going to act somehow, somewhat, if not completely, against that particular mutant variant. So we anticipate that whatever vaccine is being made, they will be effective against the mutant variant as well. But once we develop the technological know-how of how to develop that particular vaccine, it can always be tweaked based on what is the current circulating strain of that particular virus, as we do in influenza virus every year. So I think if we are able to make this breakthrough, then it's going to have a major advantage of administration plus efficacy. And it's important again that if you inhibit local replication, then chances of transmission will also decrease, which is not in the case when we use any intramuscular or subcutaneous vaccine
Okay.
because they are acting systematically. So that's what Dr. Rao was trying to tell, and this could be
Mm.
actually the biggest benefit, and that could lead us getting rid of this mask culture in near future. So I put my money on this particular vaccine for ultimately getting rid of this mask. But till then, we'll have to wait and continue following this COVID appropriate behavior.
Absolutely, and I just want to toss this to Dr. Sarita Verma as well, just as we close the show. Dr. Verma, you also agree with the panelists that this vaccine will certainly be a game changer, talking vis-a-vis the pandemic?
Yes, definitely. I agree with my, especially with the issue of transmission. So we are hoping because it is acting at the local level. So till now, we have not been able to break this chain of transmission, and that's why this pandemic is continuing. So if we
Right.
are able to act at the nasal level where it is acting and where the virus is also acting, so we will be able to break the chain of transmission and hopefully see the end of this pandemic.
Right, right. But certainly all of you will agree that we still need to follow COVID appropriate behavior. Is it so? For at least some
Yeah,
time to come.
absolutely.
definitely.
Right, right, right. Many thanks to our panelists, and extremely glad to have all three of you here and elucidating on this extremely important why I'm saying it's still work in progress. And as our three panelists said, it can be certainly a game changer. Many thanks, Dr. Rao. Many thanks, Dr. Savita Verma, and many thanks, Dr. Neeraj Nishal. Pleasure to have you on the show. But before we leave, a small appeal to all our viewers. Well, keep maintaining COVID appropriate behavior. And you have to follow these simple steps. Keep wearing a mask, keep washing your hands, and do not forget to maintain the physical distancing. Remember, these are small things that will help us in defeating pandemic. Thank you for watching this edition of India Fights Back. Goodbye.